Okay, look, Dana, we're live now and they can see us and hear us. This, I swear to God,
He
everybody,
just
it's like
look.
this.
He just
It's
he's
like
not.
this
He's
every
Steve
week.
just is not excited to be here. Apparently,
No,
I'm
I'm
excited
very
to be
excited
here.
to be here. I look forward to this, but I just like every single week it's the same. It's like, okay, 30 seconds and then we're live. Okay, are we live now?
I counted. Okay, I counted. Jeez, I can count to 30, Steve.
I I I do not doubt that. You know,
Are we sure
because
about that?
you
Are you sure you're not lying to me right now?
bec- because you are a freak who has a head for both words and numbers.
Words and numbers are just different squiggles on paper that represent abstract concepts anyway.
This is exactly what I'm talking about. And on that note, so you
But
may
I'm
have, I don't
right.
know, earlier this week I put up a video that ruffled some people's feathers.
Which one was this?
Some people who practice a certain hobby, maybe a little too much or with a little too much investment, but I put up a video called Video Games Should Be Easy,
Oh, right, that one. Okay.
where I expressed my opinion that video games should be easy. And but one of the things I mentioned as a way of sort of describing why I prefer easy video games to technically challenging ones was I said, I'm pretty good at crossword puzzles. So I can't, there have been many crossword puzzles in my life that I haven't been able to fully solve, but most of the time I'm pretty good at a crossword puzzle, right? So I like to do crossword puzzles every now and then. I'm not good at Sudoku puzzles. And I say in the video, when Sudoku puzzles first became kind of big in the United States, like about 20 years ago, I was like, oh, it's like a crossword puzzle, but with numbers. Let me give this a shot. And I soon realized that I was no good at this. And I say in the video, what was I thinking? I'm not good at math. I have an English brain, not a math brain. And so many people came into the comments and were like, but they're not math puzzles. They're logic puzzles. And my response to that is, here's how I know a Sudoku is a math puzzle. Because I can't fucking do one. That's all the evidence I need that it's math. Because if I can't do it and it's got numbers involved, it must be math. Anyway, hi everybody in the chat, by the way. I don't mean to ignore you all. Alice, a lot of people think this is one of the worst episodes. I don't really think that. I wouldn't put it in like my top 10 or anything, but I feel like this episode gets unfairly maligned. But we'll see what Dana thinks. Yeah, but we'll see what Dana thinks when we watch it.
Okay.
Yeah. And David, video games should have an easy option. I feel like a lot of people who reacted badly to that video kind of assumed that my opinion is that there shouldn't be any such thing as a difficult video game for anybody. Like I was trying to enforce some sort of authoritarian, and no, if you want to, all I say in the video is if you want to play games that are, and I'm not, and also a lot of people misinterpret it as say, then why do anything challenging, and I feel like I did a pretty good job in the video of specifying what I was talking about. That I'm talking about like the technical challenge of playing a video game and hitting the right buttons in the right order fast enough. Like that's the difficulty that I'm referring to that I don't like, and that I like
and sometimes in the right combination.
Yeah, and that I like to eliminate as much as possible on the rare events that on the rare occasions that I play video games, right? But yes, there should be an easy option. If you're a weirdo and you like playing super hard video games,
there you
no
go,
judgment.
255 AD. Oh
no
yeah,
judgment for you
judgment.
weirdos. But
So
well, yeah, 255 AD. I kind of do. I mean, I'm not trying to make I'm not saying they're bad people, but I feel like if I'll put it this way, if you're playing a video game on hard mode and you don't enjoy it, but you feel like you have to keep going back to do it, like you have to beat the game, right? Because that's what I was talking about when I in the video when I talk about when I was younger and I had an NES and my controllers would rattle when you shook them because I would get frustrated so often and throw them on the floor. Like a more mature person, hopefully that I am now, would say, "Oh, okay, you just shouldn't do this." You just shouldn't do this. You're not good at this. You don't enjoy this. But there was some kind of misplaced emotional investment on my part that made me think, no, I have to do it until I win the game.
Because
Go ahead.
if you don't, the video game wins. This seems completely parallel to you not enjoying a movie and yet being unwilling to stop watching the dadgum thing.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. Watching ain't playing. Right?
The same principle applies. Exact same principle.
If I know generally, which you nearly always know generally how long a movie is, right?
That's true. It's a really good point.
So I know how long the movie. So if like you and I are watching Moulin Rouge, and I'm hating literally every second of it. I hate every single frame of this movie. But I know in like what, 2 hours, it's over.
Uh-huh.
You know, with a video game, if you keep losing, the game never stops. Like there's no end to it until you finally get past that part that you couldn't get past. So you could waste an entire day. Yeah, you could waste an entire day. And yet David has a good point in the chat too. Even if you're good at a game, there are video games that like take cumulative days to beat. Like even if you're not dying every other second, like it's just that long of a game, that big of a game to get through. It takes hours and hours and hours and hours of playtime to get through. So.
So theoretical question, because I don't think I'll ever get you to watch Moulin Rouge again. And honestly, I don't think I would ask it of you, knowing how much.
If I think we've done it for late seating, haven't we?
I think
we've done it.
You're asking me to remember something?
Because I think actually, because I was trying to say, because I know I've watched it more than once relatively recently, and I think we watched it together. And then sometime after that, but not too long after. I
remember you talking about that now that you say.
I watched it again for late seating. So at this point, I can't imagine ever watching it again. Like I can't think there would ever be a reason to watch it again. But yes, please go ahead. What were you going to ask?
So if like every 3 to 5 minutes, every couple of scenes, I paused it so that we could talk about it, and then went back to it, so that it stretched out.
So in other words, you would try.
Would you cave?
Would I? If I knew that was the deal
going out?
If I knew that was the deal going in, I would never say yes in the first place.
No. Well, no. But if you didn't know and you found out that I kept stopping the movie to talk about it,
I might tap out at that point. Yeah. If I felt like it was going to be okay, this is going to be my whole afternoon. Just sitting here watching this god awful movie and like pausing it every few minutes to talk about it.
We might run out of time, and I'm like, oh, it's bedtime. You know, we need to get dinner, and we'll just pick this up tomorrow. Nope. No, we won't.
No, it's like when, I don't know if you ever played like a Monopoly game that took like weeks to finish, but it's like if you're playing the Monopoly game and you know, you just, you know, when you're doing that, like we would do that occasionally as a kid. And my grandmother used to say that when she was a kid, like back in the old days, and I think she was bragging a little bit, she said we would have Monopoly games that would last all summer. And of course, you just leave the board wherever it is. You know, it's like, okay, we'll come back and play next time. And you just leave the board where it is and leave everything as it is, and people can just come back and pick up where they left off. But if you're losing, right, and you don't want to play this Monopoly game anymore, oh, whoops, I knocked the board over. I guess we can't play Monopoly. And I guess we'll just, you know, so that would be, it would be something like that. I might, oops, sorry, Dana, I bumped it. I forgot where we paused it. Sorry. You know, I'm kind of busy today anyway.
We can just start over.
Yes. With that smile too. Oh, it's okay. We can just start over. Clone of Jonathan says, how do you feel about games with lots of environmental storytelling rather than dialogue and overlays? For example, in-world signage, loudspeaker, NPC chatter, term. I mean, in my relatively small experience playing games, that sort of thing is, I mean, it's more natural,
Mhm.
you know? But as I think, I mean, I say in the video, like, if I'm playing a game and and it's like kind of an open world game and you can just go off and do your own thing and there are things in the game you can do that I find entertaining, I'm likely to just go do that instead of whatever the story's supposed to be. Like that's how I always played Vice City. Like whenever I played Grand Theft Auto Vice City, like I would do when I first got it, I would do the missions and stuff and try to like advance the story and advance the game. But after a while, I was like, you know what? It's way more fun to just steal cars and run people over and beat up cops and businessmen and take their money. And you know, it's just like I'm just going to do this until I get bored with it and then go do something else. And you know, the next time I have some free time and I want to just do some mindless entertainment, I'll come back and do this some more. You know, which is kind of like what I use Doom and Wolfenstein for now. Like if I have some time where I don't have any work to do and I just want to zone out for a little bit, I'll play like Doom 2 or Wolfenstein, put on all the cheat codes, and I'll just do that until I get bored. And then I'll just stop wherever I'm at and go do something else, you know.
Mr. Armour, I have to say I appreciate the alliteration. Nicely done. And Liz, I don't know that I actually have something to comment on. I might. I mean, I can usually come up with something, but especially if I get into a movie and I actually like it, I'm gonna, I might say less. Especially with something I've seen, a fair number of times, like Moulin Rouge. So I don't know that I would necessarily have that. It would have to be a deliberate effort to piss Steve off.
In other words, you need proper motivation, and that would be proper motivation for you. Just to
absolutely
to subject me to as much torture as you possibly could.
You're my O'Brien.
Hey, and that's the subject of the next Trek actually that I've been writing as well.
Making someone your O'Brien?
No. Is O'Brien actually the character in Star Trek who suffers the most? Because conventional wisdom says he is. But is he?
Now we get to hear what Steve thinks about this.
There are other characters in Star Trek who
do suffer from time to time.
Who experience some torment. Yeah. So that comes out week after next. But I'm writing it now, and I'm not almost done, but I'm closer to being done than not. So
I have an interesting, I like Snakebit Cat's question. If you were going to be strapped into that chair from A Clockwork Orange and had to choose between Moulin Rouge or Lower Decks, either one on endless repeat, which would you pick?
On endless repeat? Oh, I get it, because Clockwork Orange, where I've got like my eyes are held open and
funsies.
I mean, if it's on endless repeat, then I have to choose based on what is more watchable, just sort of in the moment. So I would choose Lower Decks.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah, I would choose Lower Decks. I mean, because like the thing about Lower Decks, I just don't think Lower Decks is funny. Like when I watch Lower Decks, I'm not hating it. I'm not like actively going, oh my God, this is garbage. This, why am I watching this? It's just not working for me. So yeah, I would choose Lower Decks.
Okay, good to know. 25580. Yeah, I was really glad to hear that you were able to get through it sounded like just dealing with that, dealing with loss is not fun. But then you were able to mitigate the damage, let's say, and I'm glad your family lets you deal with it in a way that is most effective for you. Yeah.
Which is how people should treat everybody when they're grieving. Like if you don't want to talk to anybody, then you shouldn't be expected to talk to anybody. Yes. I'm glad that that's how it went. Liz, that's a really interesting observation. O'Brien suffers because he has no internal conflict. So it has to be external. That's a really good observation. And yeah, Azalea, Lower Decks, aka Star Trek: The Next Generation, The Next Generation, kinda. Yeah, like the aesthetic of it. I mean, obviously it's animation, so you know it's but like the style of it is very much TNG translated to animation, and it's like pretty obvious.
Oh. So, in case I
Yes.
am making odd noises for anybody who doesn't know, I've done something to my foot, and it's gotten worse, like a lot worse recently. Thank God. I already have an appointment with the orthopedic surgeon on Monday, so I'm like at least getting it looked at. But man, today it was hard just getting around school, like literally just getting around my classroom.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, so right before I went to school, I got a text message from one of the other teachers that said, "Hey, we're going to meet with one of the assistant principals. One of our ESL students passed a test that says, you know, you can sort of move out of the main program and we'll still have support for you, but you know, you don't have to take like a support class. You can take an elective now." So we're all really happy for that. And it was just to make sure that we signed off and documented everything. So I mean, quick
Yeah.
meeting, not a big deal. Good reason for it too. Very happy. So I parked up in front, and so I went out because I'm moving quickly because I have tutoring after school, and then I have tutoring again at the library. And I'm like, I got out where I just went out the way I usually do, and I was like, oh God, I have to cross the parking
I have to walk
lot.
on my bad foot.
Yeah, well, I mean, on both of them, but
Well, but one in particular.
yeah,
Yeah.
it hurts, and I'm just like, I'm so ready to get this fixed. Which I guess is
Have you
where I.
considered a pogo stick?
Oh my God, no, no, no.
That would make it worse.
Jumping? Yes, yes, 100%. Even though I'm jumping with both feet. Yeah, when I was doing yesterday morning when I was doing CrossFit, they were doing jump rope. I'm like, and it
Oh
wasn't
yeah.
like
Yeah.
one-footed jump rope. No, it's two-footed. No, 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 no. None
What
of that.
about a
So
unicycle? Could you use a unicycle?
I think so. A unicycle would work. Or did I? I don't think
Get
I
you a
sent you
unicycle.
that OK Go hey, cross my feed, one of the OK Go music videos. They're on these little um it's like a seated Segway, like, but it's just you just sit on it. And I think it's by Honda. I don't theirs were by Honda.
Oh,
I've seen a
okay.
couple different versions. So anyway, it's just you make it move by just which way you lean and it goes.
Right.
That I could do that.
Yeah.
I do not
So you'd
have
rather
that
have
kind
that
of money.
than you'd rather have that than like what are they called? The like a hoverboard, like a Segway
Uh,
without the
yeah,
control
no,
that
no, no.
just moves by
Standing.
your
This has a
yeah.
seat. This is you sit down. Yes, sitting.
Yeah.
No
Okay.
standing.
Okay.
Yeah. HB Haga, no. I think it's much, much further down.
Yeah, the
So
coccyx isn't in your foot.
so yeah, 25580. I was responding to the first one. We just kind of didn't get around to it until you mentioned the second one. So it was related. Um
Oh, Kara Ensign Kim is mentioned in the video.
okay. What about well, thinking about the suffering and the lack of internal conflict, what about Guinan?
Guinan
I mean,
doesn't really suffer much on screen though.
no. More, I mean, the lack of internal conflict. If that's the
Oh,
justification for suffering, I don't. Does she have internal conflict? She seems pretty chill. You know,
well, but I think it was
curing
more
herself.
it's more well, and it's more like a comment on why O'Brien in particular was chosen by the writers to be the one who always, you know, who always takes such a beating. Is
Yeah.
because he doesn't have internal conflict. So if you're going to have an O'Brien episode, he's going to have to get the shit kicked out of him because it's what else are you going to do with him, you know?
So do they have Guinan episodes?
Not really. There are
That's kind of
episodes where
she's not a like
there are
essential member of the
episodes where
crew
yeah, there are
where she's
episodes where
featured.
Guinan, yeah, and like
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
Whoopi Goldberg wasn't a regular and she
Yeah.
wasn't in more than every when Whoopi was really on the show a lot, she was in maybe every fourth or fifth episode. Like Guinan, was supposedly on the ship the whole time, but she wasn't actually in the show except every so often. So usually when Guinan was there, she had an important role to play
Mhm.
in the story, or at least was there for like she, if she didn't have an important role to play in the story, then she was there to have like that scene with the character who was the lead
Mhm.
character for that episode,
Yep.
where they would
Oh
talk about
Lord.
whatever the thing was and it would help
Uh-huh.
them, you know, realize what they had to do. Like she was that kind of character.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
yeah.
Awkward to have a Black woman in that kind of character, but you know, it was,
Yeah,
you know,
it's a little, I
it
mean,
was the 20th century still, so you know, I mean, it's better than nothing. The blah, 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 Liz being, yeah, but being a genocide survivor, that would have been external conflict, and she doesn't seem
yeah,
like she's not carrying it. Like it's not something, you know, she's not apparently in any sort of like mental distress. She does not seem to be like carrying, you know, post-traumatic stress from it, surprisingly. I mean, so, you know, in that sense, yes, she's lived through it, but it's not continual internal conflict for her.
right. Yeah,
So
she was pretty chill about most things.
so
Even they because yeah, someone mentioned Q in the chat. They did establish that Guinan and Q had a particular antagonism for each other, but Guinan usually just used that as you know, an opportunity to make fun of him. There wasn't like a lot of rage behind it. It was
no,
just
no,
oh,
it's
it
just
was like, you know,
it's an opportunity.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah. All right. So watch the show.
You ready?
I,
Okay,
I
so we
shall I explain things?
yeah, let me just remind everybody. We are watching Deep Space Nine, season 5, episode 7, which is Let He Who Is Without Sin. Now go ahead and get that one queued up if you haven't already. And Dana, if you would please explain to the people how this works.
So make sure you got your episode queued up and that you got it all the way set at 0000 pizza. Sorry, I got distracted.
By
Pizza.
pizza. It's completely understandable.
Oh, okay, so let's go through this quick because I got pizza now. And so sync it up with us. So, and then Steve's gonna count us in 3, 2, 1, play. And when Steve says play, not on one, there's no zero, just play. Just when Steve says play, we click play. And if you're a smidgen off, it's okay because it is not a sing along. So that's
That's
good.
right.
Although I'm sure it would be delightful to listen to you for however long the episode is. But anyway, so we're gonna watch this. If you get a little, you know, things don't seem right, check our time code somewhere floating up there and make sure, check your time code, see if it matches, if it's close. And we'll I'll probably be watching the channel, the chat log about as much as I'm watching the show, which sometimes tells, you know, people are like, you missed the thing. I'm like, sorry, I'm paying attention to you guys. So and yeah, so 3, 2, 1, and then we all click play together. And I am let's look. Yep, I've got it 0000, and I'm ready.
All right, here we go. Oh man, I can't remember. It might be on our to watch list, but it just occurred to me when you
Yes.
said that you're because when you're paying attention to the chat, you're distracted by the words, which to me makes you the anti Norma Desmond. Because Norma Desmond, as a silent movie star, hates words.
Words, words, words.
Exactly, that's Norma Desmond right there. You've made a rope of words and strangled this industry. Okay, here we go. I'll count us in and we'll watch Let He Who Is Without Sin. Here
Yay!
we go in 3, 2, 1, play.
It's the dude.
Morn's gonna get some. Oh yeah, get it,
Oh
Morn.
my
Get
goodness
it.
gracious. Pizza, pizza, pizza.
Well, good thing he's not a Bajaran baby. We've really been wrecking each other lately. I love gossipy Odo. He orders it so loud because he wants everybody to know what he's drinking.
Yeah.
Dak says you've really been tearing it up lately.
Yes, that's what we were all thinking.
It's not proper for you to look on another man's brain. Kara, yeah, it's a little intrusive. I mean, if you think about it as if it was like a real situation, it's like, you know, I don't want my coworkers knowing about that shit.
Oh dear.
Road trip.
That was good.
Oh, Worf's the best. God, I love Worf.
I do not want to hug.
Do not hug me. $255.80. Yes, I think that's funny.
David, no, that wasn't. There was nothing passive about that.
Don't do anything I wouldn't do. Worf's like, I could kill all three of them, and the third one would be dead before, or the third one would be dead before the first one hit the floor. And Liz, yeah, Captain Baudet is one of my favorite running jokes from the series. He's mentioned a couple of times, but we never see him.
Uh-oh.
What?
It gave me a spinning wheel of doom.
No.
So I think I'm a couple seconds off. Mm. Okay, what's your time at?
I'm at 6:20. You want me to keep counting?
Yeah, hang on.
Okay.
Let me know when you're at
6:30.
7:10.
Oh, at 7:10.
Like,
Okay.
yeah, I just skipped ahead and I have it paused. Give me a
No
three, two,
worries.
one.
I'll give you a
I'm
seven. I'll
actually at
give you a
7:20. I'm at 7:20,
7:20.
but that, yeah.
Okay.
So let me know when you're 7:10. I'll get ready, and then you can
Okay.
give me 3, 2, 1. So we're together at 7:20.
Okay. I'll let you know when I'm at 7:10, so you can get ready, and then I'll give you like 6:17, 6:18, 6:19, 6:20. How about that?
All
Or
right.
7:20.
Oh,
Excuse me. Okay.
yeah.
Okay. All right. 7:10.
Okay.
7:15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20.
Yay!
You
Thank
good?
you.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
All
Seems to be
right.
fine now.
Well, good.
Mm.
How's the pizza?
Mm.
That's good.
Mm-hmm. Good. Go develop it further. Nobody might rip your throat out.
I'm going to go have sex with Quark.
But I am comfortable. Oh my God.
Leisure wear of the future.
No.
Quark's double fisting it. That's sweet, Worf, but you've seen me naked, so
Yes, but not under this artificial, sunlight.
ha. Well, I guess she saved the best for last.
Can we go get busy?
Can we go get busy? Got lost. Got lost.
It doesn't look like a golf course 255 AD. The sand trap is way too big.
Yeah. I think that works for it, actually. I mean, it's supposed to be like a constructed kind of phony place. It. Well, go ahead. I'll be drinking prune juice and shitting like a grizzly bear. I won't be able to fit my two-headed cock in these.
Federation has a culture.
Oh, it hurts. Wow, it actually is a massager.
Mister, I love the ants, the Klingon.
The assassins of fun have arrived. H.B. Hackett, he was an assassin of joy, though, wasn't he?
Oh, fun. I am not a prize to be won.
We'll do the second one.
The choice is up to you. The choice is up to you. Yo ho, yo ho. Sorry, shutting up now.
Can't I please drink my Hawaiian punch in peace?
Oh, I want to. Okay, so I feel like Ryza shows, if anything, that the Federation is secure.
Yeah, because they have planets like this where people can just go and fuck around.
Yeah, they don't have to be like busting their ass every time. They have enough.
It's a symbol of strength
Exactly.
and virility.
To have fun.
Worf doesn't like that either. I disapprove of all of this.
I don't like fun.
Yeah.
Mr. I love the ants. My guess is hiding.
Yeah. You know, well, I think we know what Quark's doing. Any of you fucking pigs move, I'll execute every motherfucking last one of you.
How would you have gotten here?
Or some of the bad humans. There are still a few of those.
Apparently not, because you had empty power cells. Blah, blah, blah.
Steak Pit Cat, that's hilarious. Planet Gene Roddenberry was always horny.
No, it wouldn't, because it would get you the heck out of the way. Hmm. um, I mean, I would think has a cure for. I mean, they still get sick, so I think they just have a cure for whatever. Just doing things I don't like. Okay, good luck with that. Not only, yeah, it's not just what, but also like flipping some tables. And guess what? Someone would stop you.
Oh, all we had to do was set a table back up, and it literally took us all night to do that. So, he was a horny old fucker. Get out of my sight.
I mean, that's kind of how it was with my first boyfriend. We were just like, yeah, yeah, I don't think we were both kind of like, I don't know, I think I want to date other people. Oh, okay. Okay.
That's as phallic as they could get away with in the 90s for standards and practices. After everything we talked about, I find her sensually sculpting. Yeah, I feel better. I completely cured all of my angry feelings.
Yep.
I would like to punish this entire planet for my squabble with my girlfriend.
Hole in what? I hear your brother's popular.
Well, sometimes the snow comes down in June.
Oh gosh, sometimes the sun goes around the moon. Aw. What do you fucking do? Knit and crochet tiger? Apparently so.
Mr. Elephant, yes, yes, this is exactly how you get. You're all banned from Ryza.
Honest. Oh gosh. You know what I wish she'd do is walk up to him and say, "You should be ashamed of yourself," and then just walk away.
If they can't handle a little bad weather in the place where they specifically came to not have bad weather on their vacation,
Like seriously, dump some water on his bed. Deny
that
it.
was maliciously done. It's like,
Yeah. No, you can't have prune juice. You have to drink Roctagino. We didn't come here for adversity. Yeah.
yes, you're definitely changing hearts and minds with this petty act of terrorism. Give me that cell phone. Yeah, it's great.
Oh, then say it. Two fifty five eighty. That could work.
That was awesome.
I killed that child.
Or if that is so badass, take me now.
Who you choose to be. And not everybody makes that same choice.
Anyway, long story short, that's why I sided with those Republicans. And I'll fuck whoever I want whenever I want. I don't think so. We can't get out of this room. We haven't built any other sets.
Smack him across the face. Like, back of your head. See, that's what you should do.
Yeah. Take that, that guy's stunt double.
Ooh. Yeah, that corner of that table, not fun to land on. See, honestly, that's why they don't get more Klingons here. They don't got no fighting.
Yeah.
They need a happy bottom riding club.
I can't wait to get home and fuck Rom. Very well, I will swim in my uniform.
Do not tell. It is, that is dishonorable to get the uniform wet. You get my uniform wet all the time.
The end. So what'd you think of that one?
Mr. I Love the Ants. Interesting idea.
Worf mistakes his girly slap as a Klingon mating ritual. Yeah,
Dare
possibly.
You. I am spoken for.
Yeah, apparently the Ryzens are just so chilled out that they don't even press charges when people do terrorism.
Yeah, they did mention that, they're not gonna.
Yeah. They're just like, it's, some people want to come and have a good time and fuck and play games and lie on the beach. And some people like to commit acts of terrorism. We just let people do what they want.
Yeah.
They're just a very, very, very chill people. So, well, yeah. What did you think of that one?
It was nice. Well, I mean, it depends, Kara. I mean, if you're just like you on the sand, no. But if you can like put like a blanket down or something, potato. It's like a picnic.
Worf's a big tough Klingon though. If he can't handle having sex on a beach, I mean,
Well, yeah, but I mean, Jadzia's not.
Okay, well then Jadzia is on top.
There you go. And something for the knees. I know she's gonna get brush burn on the sand.
Oh my God.
I'm just saying, I'm thinking of her comfort.
255 AD says, do you buy you'd still have people like that in a socialist utopia? Yes, of course. Yeah. Especially one that has existed for as long as the Federation has at this point. Yeah. I mean, this is Deep Space Nine is, according to the made up history of Star Trek, the Federation has existed for like 200 years at this point, and more or less the condition that we see it in. So of course there would be people by this point who would be like, this isn't the best system, or, our society has become too soft or whatever. Like, of course there'd be people like that. Yeah. I mean, there are people like that. Yeah.
What do they stand to gain?
Well, I mean, I guess according to Fullerton, they gain greater security greater, ability to
No,
repel
no, no,
threats
no,
from
no,
the
no, no,
outside.
no. Yeah. No, somebody who's afraid. Fullerton is that's a power play. Like
Well,
you,
sure, he wants people to, yeah.
you're using other people's fear is a way to gain power, but like it's not. So he's not doing this because he's afraid. He's doing. I mean, the reason that somebody would do something like that is because they want to use other people's fear as a way to get them to respond in a certain way that as a way to give to grant that person more power. And I don't really see that happening. So, and also the whole, they've grown in a society that does not have, and it gets back down to the whole, what is the Federation in Star Trek? It's heavily militaristic in style, but oh no, it's not a military. So
Well, Starfleet, yeah, yeah.
right, what did I say?
You said the Federation, but potato, potato. They're
Yeah,
sometimes they're used interchangeably, sometimes they're not.
I haven't figured it out yet. So anyway, so yeah, I mean, because the idea is that it is it is a hierarchy that is based on expertise, which to an anarchist is not an unjustifiable hierarchy. It's based on this person can do this that other people can't, therefore they fill this role. That's where they're needed. That's where they can be effective. But different episodes and different stories present that in different ways. So there's not really a consensus on it. So it's hard to say. But, with the way that Starfleet and the Federation both are talked about, it's not, people don't have to, they don't have economic, they certainly don't have economic power over others. Their people's basic needs are met, you
Right.
can just go to a replicator and get food. You have housing. It's fine, whatever. The conflicts come from other issues. And so you don't have that leverage of, oh, well, that pressure of being able to provide for yourself. You don't have to. And that takes a lot of the ability to use capital to gain power over someone else. You don't have that. And the nature of what power is in Starfleet is not consistent. So it's difficult to understand why somebody would behave in the way that terrorist dude does. Does that make
Well, I
sense?
think yeah, but I mean, I feel like all you need to explain why someone would behave the way the essentialists behave in this episode is for there to still be such a thing as the human ego, and some people who think they know better than other people, and some people who think that the way things are being done now is bad in some way, and if they did things the way I think they should do them, then things would be better. And all they need to rally people to their cause in the absence of the kinds of economics that we deal with in our life today is to convince people that the threat they're talking about is legitimate. To say, like, if we don't reform, if we don't change our ways and do things differently, then the Dominion or whoever is going to come in and wipe us off the map because we're not ready, because we've gone soft, because the old society has become decadent, that kind of thing. That's really, I feel like that would be enough to at least, I mean, to at least attract some followers. I mean, the guy's not exactly leading an army. He has, maybe half a dozen people with him. So it's not like he's building like a mass movement, but you know, he thinks he knows better than other people.
So which which came first? The desire for power or the paradigm that fun is bad? Is he a true believer?
I feel like he probably, I mean, I don't, it's difficult and probably a waste of time to dive too deep into this character because, he's a one-off character on one episode of a weekly sci-fi show. And I don't know how deep he's intended to be, but I feel like we're not really given any indication that, I mean, I feel like he seems to mean what he says. Like it doesn't seem like he's running a grift to
I
to
agree.
gain power and influence. It seems like he
I
genuinely
agree.
believes what he's saying. So,
I agree. But at the same time, that means that the ego isn't where this comes from. So in that case, why does he hate fun? If that's where it
it's
started,
not an
why did they?
it's not an explicit ego thing, but it's the ego of allowing yourself to believe that you know better than other people how they should lead their lives.
Which makes it
And I
sound
think
like
that's
he.
but that's an extension of him not liking fun. He looks at the way these people live, he looks at what happens on Ryza, and he disapproves. And he thinks they should be doing something else with their time.
That's circular.
Well, that
That's
doesn't
my
mean
point. Is
that
that
doesn't mean it can't be a human being's motivation. He's not a robot. He's not a computer. He's a human being.
no,
Human
but
beings have motivations that don't make perfect logical sense all the time.
no, but they come from somewhere. They don't just endlessly. They don't just jump into a loop without getting there somehow. They don't start off that way. People have
Well, do we?
reasons for the things
Okay, but we
that
don't
they
need to
do.
know why he started off. The episode's not about him. Just
No, it's not. But I'm saying
people acting the way he acts is a part of human nature, and I feel like that part of human nature
no,
would still exist. Yes, it is. If people act that way all the time,
you're not
it's not.
listening to me.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
People
Go
don't
ahead,
do
please.
things for no reason. And
I didn't say
one
that.
of the I did, and you're still not listening. One of
Go
those
ahead.
things, I love this. Like you interrupt me to tell me to go ahead, but that's okay, Steve. I forgive you. So people do things because something they experience something that causes them to make their choices. That is human nature, whether it's rational or not. And so either something made him not like fun, or something made him decide that he wanted, that this is what he wanted. He wanted to prove everybody else wrong, do his own thing. And either and then if that's the start, then that means that desire for personal gain, for power, whatever it is, for proving other people wrong, precipitated what was before he decided, no, they're doing things the wrong way. But it sounded like you said he thought they were doing things the wrong way. Well, why? And then based on that, because he was a true believer, he's like, I'm right, they're wrong, I need to put them in their place. Okay, then why? No one taught him that. This isn't, like you said, this has been going on for generations, hundreds of years. I don't know. But it's not like he was brought up this way or exposed to other people who believed this. It's presented as he came up with this. Where the hell did it come from? Because they've been separated from our society from so long that it's not clear. And I guess you could you could say the story just doesn't choose to tell us that, which is fine. But it's if it's not in response to something, it doesn't make sense as human behavior. If it's just saying,
Okay.
oh, well, he doesn't like fun, so he wants to make everybody else not like fun. That doesn't
But
make
why
sense.
do you need to know what it's in response to for this story to make sense? Is my point.
No, I'm saying it's presented. I'm saying that it needs to be in response to something. We don't necessarily have to be told what it is, but the way that it's presented is it comes out of nowhere. They don't. Does that make sense? They seem to nobody knows anything about them. They've just sort of shown up. Does that make sense? Like I
don't see how the story would be improved by I think the things that you are talking about are not things that are relevant immediately to the story that is told in the episode. I mean, to me, it's enough to recognize that he is a recognizable type of person. He's a type of person that we know exists in our society.
In our society.
He's not unfamiliar. Yeah. And I don't think it is, first of all, even if you do decide, well, but that kind of person wouldn't exist in the Federation. Okay, well, it's not this kind of show. Like I've said many times, Star Trek is about us. Star Trek is not about crafting a completely plausible, realistic, logically impenetrable future, right?
Mm-hmm.
The world of Star Trek is our world, just translated into science fiction. So the fact that people like him and groups like that exist for us is all the reason you need for them to exist in Star Trek, right? Whether their existence would be plausible by the rules of that world, if it were real or not, is completely irrelevant. It exists in Star Trek because it exists for us. Period. That's it. And once you realize, like, oh, he's we've seen that kind of guy before. That
Mm-hmm.
kind of guy exists. So
Mm-hmm.
that's all you need for the story to make sense. You know? And I suppose if you're the writer and you insist on coming up with some kind of character backstory to explain like why he is the way he is, that's your process as a writer. And do whatever you need to do to write your story, but none of that needs to be in the episode.
I agree with Steelcab von Sparta. The story would be stronger if it showed any sort of motif for his behavior. And Caitlin and I disagree. I would say you've known too many people who were like that for no apparent reason. But people are the way they are because of what they've experienced. And I think that's what we're seeing here. It's a lack of any apparent reason. But I'm not. The idea that people are just like that, no, they're not. They're just not. That's not how it is in our world.
But we're not arguing about that. I agree with you that people have a reason, that we're all the result of our experiences, and nobody is however they are for no reason. I'm just saying none of that is relevant to the story, because the story is not reality. The story is a story, and he's a made up person, and he's just a character type. And,
Right. But part of the purpose of Star Trek is to get us to examine why our society is the way it is, and to think, somewhat critically about our society. And so part of doing that is looking at why it works this way in our society and why it would work differently in Star Trek, given that these are people who have different experiences, to make us look at our society from a different angle.
Right.
So as we're talking about this story, we're not just talking about this story. I think it's really hard to talk about this story just by itself without saying, okay, here's how it's different from how it would be in our society. Once you start picking it apart this way, looking at, where those seams are, I think that's value in understanding our own society.
Okay. I want to touch on something that's related to this, but kind of on the opposite end.
Okay.
And then we can play Wordle if you want.
That
and
sounds
also
great.
Evan in the chat says it's a bit shallow. I agree that Fullerton's characterization is a bit shallow.
Mm-hmm.
He's very much a type. I just don't think, I mean, it's a 1 hour TV show episode.
Exactly.
Like
yeah.
I'm not expecting a lot of depth in the characterization of the guest character.
Liz Hill says sort of the same thing about the Federation, the society as a whole. He exists somehow in the Federation despite claims of humankind resolving problems, and a deconstruction of this, this paradise, and like equally the literal deconstruction of the paradise that Risa is. Right. Looking at why it is the way it is. So I think it's interesting. It can be a bit, I don't want to say silly, but it's not meant to be deconstructed that far, but looking at it in that depth can be interesting to think about in terms of our society and why it is the way it is. So
I want to pick up something that you said, which is that people don't do things for no reason, and everybody has some, there's a reason why people are the way they are. So in this episode, we learn a reason for why Worf is part of the way he is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things I don't really like about the episode. I like this episode. I don't think this is a bad episode. I don't think it's a great episode. Some of like the stuff, it's like, I feel like the ending, like Worf learns his lesson really quickly, you know, and I mean he has to, like, he can't leave Worf. I mean, maybe Deep Space Nine could have, but generally speaking, you can't leave Worf as I'm fully on. I'm a Republican now, you know, like you can't leave Worf there. He has to learn his lesson and see the error of his ways, and he does, and it happens a little quickly, but whatever. But my problem with Worf's anecdote about the time he accidentally killed a kid in a soccer match is I agree with you that in real life people have reasons for why they do the things they do and why they are the people they are. And certainly if part of Worf's character is that he's the Klingon who is really contained and is always holding back, and he doesn't seem to have the lust for life that other Klingons have, like, surely we can assume that there is a reason why Worf is that way, right?
Or reasons, but go ahead.
Exactly. Well, that's where I'm going with this. Or reasons. What I don't like that kind of characterization. I don't like the kind of characterization where it's, oh, you're wondering why I am this particular way. Well, it's all because of this one specific incident that I can pinpoint in my life. You know what I mean? It feels like it's better just to not say it. You know what I mean? Like, because it is so shallow.
But see,
you know,
Steve,
and
that's just part of
simplistic.
the story. You just have to accept it for what it is.
Oh, no.
Because what's interesting is
Worf told me, go ahead.
I feel like the same way about this. Like, I can sort of, because they made an attempt, I'm like, okay, usually for something that deep seated, it's not just one thing. It's rarely just one thing. It's one thing in the way it developed and how other people reacted to the situation and other things that have been leading up to that. It's not just that one incident. You know, it's not, people rarely do things for just one reason. It's, you know, we're complicated beings. And the fact that they say, oh, it's this one thing, that also makes it unbelievable. But the fact that they said, okay, here's a reason. It's like, okay, it's a story, it's weak. But for me, that makes it easier to accept because they made the effort. Whereas for you, it seems like, yeah, that's not how people work, which is exactly what I was saying about Other Dude.
Well, but I feel like we're coming at it from opposite sides, because I would rather, if the explanation that the writer comes up with for, okay, why is Worf the way he is, right? If the writer comes up with an explanation for that is so simple and so neat,
simplistic, yeah,
that it defies human experience, because like you said, you know, most people, like, you can't pinpoint, well, why are you like, why do you have the sense of humor you have? Like, there's no one particular
well, one time my father,
exactly, like, it doesn't work that way. So if that is what the writer comes up with, I would rather just leave it out entirely and leave it without explicit explanation, and just assume and just leave it up to the viewer's imagination, you know? What are you crying about?
He said it was the circus.
Oh, you're doing Batman. Yeah, but
because it's not just one thing. It's more complicated than that.
And it's you know, I would rather just be, because there are all kinds of, if someone is curious about, well, why does Worf act the way he does? Absent that anecdote about the soccer game and killing the kid, there are all kinds of things just from watching the show and kind of knowing who Worf is from watching the show. There are all kinds of things that you can infer as an audience member that could explain why Worf is the way he is, if you feel like if you feel like you just need to know and you can't just accept, well, that's just how Worf is. You know, and to me, that's better than having a particular very, very pat, unrealistic explanation.
I would agree with you. Unfortunately, we don't have that option with Other Dude. We don't have, because he's not a regular character. It's this guy who shows up for this episode. So with him, I feel it would be helpful to have some understanding of how he got to be that way, even if it's not like in depth, because he's only here for one episode. Whereas with Worf, I think it actually makes less sense because we have so much of an understanding of him, because he's like one of the main characters. And it's interesting because
I see what you're saying.
You know,
I don't feel the same way. I feel like I don't need to know if he's a villain of the week. I don't need to know his fucking life story. Like, I just need for him to
I don't
function.
need to watch the
I need to.
episode, but I get
Well,
curious.
but you know what I'm saying. For the episode to work, I don't feel like I need his life story. I just need him to work within the bounds of the story that they're telling, and I feel like he does that well enough.
So Andrew apparently agrees with you.
Hi, Andrew.
And also, but unfortunately, he agrees with you for the wrong reasons, because he says Worf learned Klingon from books, and that apparently this little backstory contradicts other little backstory. It's not internally consistent. Whereas you're more of a don't really care. Yeah. This story is this story. That story is that story.
Yeah, I don't care about internal consistency when it comes to that sort of thing. Like if somebody says, and actually Andrew brings up a really good point. The consistency that he's referencing is because they came up with this idea to sort of explain the ages of characters, to explain why Worf's son, because Worf's son eventually shows up on Deep Space Nine. We haven't gotten there yet, but when Worf's son shows up on Deep Space Nine, he's played by an actor who is significantly older than the character would have been, you know, if he was as old as he would have been based on the last time we saw him on TNG. And they explain that away by saying like, oh, Klingons age differently. You know, Klingons mature a lot faster, right? So it's like, okay, so Alexander supposedly is like 10, but he looks like he's like 25. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, okay, Klingons just, they grow that way. Fuck it. And that's fine. I don't care about that. But it does, I mean, it is inconsistent if Worf is telling this story to Jadzia in this episode where, yeah, he's like 12 and he's still a kid. We're imagining like a human kid, a human 12-year-old, but just a little bigger and tougher, you know, not like a full-grown man playing with
like Andrew says.
Then, you know, that's inconsistent. I don't give a shit about that. That makes no difference to me at all. That's like, you know, the implication early in the show that Sisko's father was dead, and then Sisko's father becoming a recurring character later on. And they said, well, we never actually said he was dead. We just had Sisko talk about him in a way that certainly seemed to imply that, but we never actually said he was dead. So here he is. I was like, okay, I don't care. You know, do whatever you want.
HB Haga, I do love waffles.
They hold the syrup so nice with the little. Yeah.
I know. They got syrup pockets. How can you not love syrup pockets? Waffles over pancakes.
Exactly. So anyway, would you like to play Wordle, and then
yes,
and then you can rest up for your big day tomorrow.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I don't know if I'll tell everybody real quick why it's a big day. I'm slightly terrified. I'm hoping I can actually enjoy it, but I've arranged a very small field trip for my English students. I set up a pen pal system with a neighboring elementary school. So they're writing back. My 10th graders are writing back and forth, have been writing back and forth with some 3rd graders. And from what I'm hearing from the 3rd grade teachers, the 3rd graders are just delighted. And my 10th graders will occasionally say, when are they going to write back to us? And let me tell you, when they get the letters, they like they read them to each other, and they're just like big smiles.
That's so cool.
Some of them,
I'm so glad that it's gone over so well. Yeah,
it really has. And some of them are like staying late after class to finish the letter back to their kid, and then hurrying off to their next class so they won't be late. I'm just like kids that don't write, that don't read, like really push back. They're just, I give them this a writing assignment that's to another person that other person wants to hear from. Everything opens up. It's been great. So tomorrow we're going to go and we're going to visit the elementary school. And so we're on semester blocks. So each class is about 90 minutes long. So we're going to get in, take roll, load the bus, head over, meet the classes, hang on, load the bus, get back, head to the next class. I've got planning period, and then I've got my other class, the elective. And then end of the day, drop your stuff, head count, get on the bus, because the elementary school lets out an hour earlier than ours does. So we have like next to no time, the second class, and then load the bus, get back, get to school. Okay, we'll have some time to do some makeup work. And then, so I have 2 different bus drivers, and I have permission slips. Some of them have turned them in. Others, like, I'm told, don't get it in tomorrow. You ain't going. I have teachers back at the school who are on planning, who very graciously have agreed to watch the students who don't turn in their permission slips and still show up for class. We made bookmarks to give to it's got the 10th grader's name on one side and the 3rd grader's name on the other side. We're going to give them to them, laminated. And we have our letters that we've just written back. We're going to hand to them. And I think that's everything. And I have a roster that I have to give each bus driver. And it's all sorted together, held together with clip. I'm terrified, but I hope that I can still enjoy it and not just look back on, okay, thank you, God, that went well. I can actually have fun in the moment. So we'll see. Anyway, it's a big day. I'm really excited about it. And from what I hear, everybody else is excited. And I hope I don't let them all down and ruin everything.
I'm sure you'll do great.
No pressure.
I'm sure you'll do great.
Okay.
All right. So, Wordle.
Yes.
Here we go. So for those of you who have never played with us before, I'll run over how this works real quick. This is today's Wordle. Dana takes the lead and decides what guesses we put in. But Dana is not actually looking at the Wordle board. She is only going by my description of it. So
and
that's
what you
how
guys
we play
say in chat. So
yeah, and if you have not played today's Wordle and you want to play along, please throw in your suggestions or guesses or what have you in the chat. We will play as a group. The only thing we ask is if you do know the solution, please don't give it away, and also please don't give us any hints.
No sneaky hints. No looking stuff up online and then none of that.
Yeah,
none of that, folks.
So shall we begin with
you're only cheating yourself.
That's right.
Let's use the typical starter, the one I usually use, HEART, heart.
Heart. And heart gives us an A and an R, both in the right place.
Ooh.
So no H, E, or T, but an A and an R in those positions. All right.
Okay. Well, it can't be learn because there's no E, but otherwise that would work. So RN is another, or RD, ARN would all be good endings.
Yeah.
And then, but we can't have an H as the second letter, which makes it a little bit more challenging for an initial cluster.
Yeah.
Boars, yeah, that's right, because boars but boars won't work because they don't use plurals, I think.
It could be board, though, like Board of Education.
It could.
BOARD.
That's a really good one. Or ARY would also be a possibility. ARY.
True.
Although I can't think of anything. I think board is a really good guess.
Do you want to try that one? Or what do you think?
Kara, I think source is another good possibility. Let's try board, though. Let's try it.
Board?
Yeah.
BOARD. Let's see what that gives us.
Swarm. Ooh, nice one, Chris.
Oh, it's not board, but there is a D, but not in that place. Ooh. So D is either the first or second letter. Oh, it could be diary.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go for that. And that also has
the
ARY. Yeah.
Yeah. Diary. Let's try diary. It's diary.
Good job, Steve. You were on it this week. Good job.
I did it. I did it all by myself.
I'm guessing that HB Haga came up with it before you just blurted that out brilliantly.
Independently. Because I didn't need nobody's help. I did it all by myself.
Although I do like Duark.
Duark. That was going to be Duark. That was going to be my next guest. My next guest, Duark. Yeah.
Or Udaru.
Udaru. My favorite word, Udaru.
So I had fun, and I'm glad that they were, that they put in a character who didn't actually seem to make a whole lot of sense, given the background of this, quasi-utopian society having existed for centuries. Because it gave us something to explore. So good on you, DS9.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the episode, but I enjoyed our conversation even more. So, yeah.
And Grumpy Wharf is always a good time.
Yes. And as Evan points out, speaking of Grumpy Wharf, Dwarf was a possibility.
Dwarf was a possibility. We didn't need it. We didn't need it.
Nope, we got it.
But yeah,
Thank you all so much
that's
for
the
giving us
magic to making
ideas.
a good. That's the magic to a good Worf episode. Just make Worf uncomfortable, and you're halfway there.
There you go.
Put Worf in an uncomfortable position, and there's your Worf episode.
I know, but of course he's a Klingon, so you also have to make sure it's an uncomfortable position that he doesn't like.
Yes, that's true.
There's the challenge. So everybody, I guess we'll get to see you together again next week when we watch Poirot. What are we watching next week, Steve?
Next week we are watching Poirot, and it is The Mystery of the Spanish Chest.
Ooh. I don't know that one right off the top of my head.
That one doesn't ring a bell?
I thought you were going to go with Spanish Shawl, and I was like, oh, I think I know that. But no.
Mystery of the Spanish Chest. I'm looking forward to it. It sounds very mysterious.
And then, of course, you absolutely ought to support Steve's channel. You can click the button, ding the bell, become a member, or you can also, or in addition, whatever, become a supporter, a patron at patreon.com/Steve Shives. And if you do, before you get to visit with us again, on Monday, you will get a little email from Steve saying, hey, you can boss me around and tell me what to say on my channel.
Or ask a question.
Yeah, well, exactly, which he will then read.
I mean, the name of the live stream is Ask Away, not Boss Away.
But you know that's what we do. So then, you can send him in
my
something
audience too much power. Yeah,
I know. We're absolutely drunk with our own success. So yeah, you can send in a question. Steve will read it next Friday at the Ask Away show at 6 p.m. And then, of course, while you're anxiously awaiting Ask Away on Wednesday, 6 p.m. here, Poirot with us.
Indeed. Yay. And also don't forget charitylinks.page.
Very important. Helping people's fun. Links down here.
All right. I believe that'll do it.
It will. Wish me luck tomorrow, everybody. I'll have a bus full of teenagers.
But it's not a very long ride to the elementary school.
It's really not. And my classes aren't huge. So, and absenteeism is also, I hope everybody comes tomorrow. I hope everybody comes.
It'll be great. It'll be great.
I hope so. And next week I can tell you all about it.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for joining us, everybody. See you next time.
Thanks again.
Bye-bye.
Bye.